Salutations, my friends, and thank you for tuning into another edition of the Factions of Freedom live broadcast. I'm actually joined by my wonderful co-host, Laurie Alexander. How are you, Laurie?
I'm doing great, hon. How are you?
It feels good to talk to you again.
I know. Where you been, my friend?
Running around the state in the southwest of America, just trying to clean up my tornado storm of a life.
Oh my.
But how are you? How are you? I'm glad to have you back on the show. How are you?
I'm doing really well, really well. Things are going great. It's one of those things. I'm just I'm trying to clean up life, trying to get down to business, get things done. Trying to come out hitting hard and trying to wake up as many people as we can, because time is so running thin for us. I just feel it in my bones, my friend.
I feel it as well. It's like you're on the road one week, and then what were you saying? You were on the air for 8 hours just the other day.
And yeah, 8 hours total on Sunday. Yeah, I came off the road. We had a oh my gosh, I wasn't on the air at all last week. I don't even, if I told you guys, you wouldn't believe us, but we did 4,000 miles in 5 days.
Good God.
It was like 3,600 miles in 5 days. And we, very little sleep last week, came home, totally collapsed Saturday. I don't even remember the day. And then Sunday morning woke up to the Orlando shooting, and something didn't seem right. Something wasn't sitting right with me. And went on the air, and things just started unfolding before our eyes. Thankful to have a great team of reporters and truth seekers, at my disposal, I guess. I mean, I guess at my
it's your crew, it's your team.
It is. We were on the air with Johnson from STFN. Dabu 7 was with us. Richie from Boston, he actually got out on his bike and went downtown Boston and gave us some video of the live drill that was happening there at the same time everything was happening. There was just so many things unfolding at that same time. I'm just thankful that we had the team, that we have a really good team. And this is something that, Ron has been talking about, that to involve as many channels as we can to get the truth out there, to get the news out there. We are the only ones putting out the truth. I'm saying the alternative news media. You're not going to get the truth. You're not going to get the full story on mainstream media. And I think a lot of people are opening, their eyes are opening to this fact now. Their eyes are opening to this reality that they're being lied to by the mainstream media. They're being lied to by everything mainstream, period.
Well, I mean, like the fact that, because I didn't hear about it. Like I said, I had my own busy weekend. It was my mother's birthday, running around. I had already put up videos and thought I had taken care of everything. And when it hit Sunday, I just got a random text alert off of Facebook that my friends and some of my friends in Florida were safe. And I was like, what does that mean?
Oh my gosh.
What does it mean that my friends are safe? Because it was 2 friends at first, and then it was 6 friends, and then 8 of my friends were marked safe. Like I took a screenshot of it. I'll try to pull it up like later on in the episode. And I thought, well, that's strange. So then of course, I hop into the saddle. I start checking the streams, checking the network, checking my sources, checking and seeing what's happening. And then I hear about the shooting, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait and see how this unfolds. I'm not gonna report on it at first. I'm gonna pay attention to everything else before I start to break down this whole incident. You see, because we know with things like this, there's always an ulterior motive. There's always something else that they're trying to hide from us, and it could have been UX16. It could have been Bilderberg 2016. It could have been even a few other false flag terror events that they were planning for, because I remember I reported on some of that stuff as well. So the whole fact that they were trying to blow this out of proportion, I'm getting notifications off of Facebook. All these other important things are happening right now. I'm in the back of my head, I'm thinking this is something you need to watch out. Pay attention for what's going on here, and not for the actual fact that this is a gay Muslim killing 50 people. Pay attention to what they'll do and how they'll spin this event.
Exactly. And when I got up, I mean, I don't have anybody down there that I personally like. I think that's a really good thing that Facebook has been started in the last, I think, probably 6 months with the whole safe thing. It's really a cool thing. I really like that option. I didn't have that, but when I woke up, I immediately texted my son. Everybody knows that my son is gay, and I just felt the need to just text him and tell him how much I loved him. And he lives in NOLA, and he texted me back, and he was very upset. And he said that all of his friends that work there were safe. So this kind of did touch me in a kind of a personal way. Him and I talked a little bit more throughout the day. He is very good friends with the bartender that's there, who's actually, I guess, is known as Miss Pulse 2016, who happened to not be at the club on Saturday night because of the position that he has. He goes around to different clubs promoting Pulse as Miss Pulse 2016. So he wasn't at the club. Okay. And I was told that no employee had been hurt or shot or killed in the incident. That it was all just new patrons that had, none of their regulars had been affected either. It was all new club members new patrons that had come in for the event on Saturday night. I guess they had like a Latin event or something.
That's right. So they like specifically promoted this event, promoted it as an event for a particular set of people. Like this was something that they sectioned off in the club, and it was sanctioned.
Right.
Okay. Because see, whenever I had looked at some of the videos afterwards, like I said, I didn't initially try to digest everything all at once. So I wanted to see what was being leaked. Because I even have a video of one of the quote unquote survivors where he's talking about how he was shot and how one of the people, Omar, how he had sprayed his AK over the stall, and then how we're also getting stories of that Patience Carter lady on how she's able, or how she was she had contact with Omar as well. So it's like it's all these, I don't want to say independent sources, but it's all this vague media. It's like a lot of we're getting secondhand confirmation of kind of what sounds like what happened at Sandy Hook, where it's an actual event, it's a staged crisis, they're using crisis actors, and there's still people that do know what's going on, but are at the same time kind of clueless to what's going on. They're just there. They're paid. They're crisis actors.
You should mention Sandy Hook, because yesterday they had the news. They had the what is it called? I'm still exhausted. They had the news conference yesterday with the at the hospital, and I watched it. I don't know if you did, but I got that same feel that I got when I watched the medical examiner at Sandy Hook.
Well, do you want to? I'm actually glad you asked. I want to pull up this video real quick with Patience Carter, where she goes over her experience. Whenever I saw the video, I was like, this girl is reading a script. The way there was no emotion, no inflection, no compassion.
The emotion again.
Exactly.
I'm sorry, but if this was me, okay, yeah. Here's this thing. I did see this also, and I want to tell you something. I actually had a conversation with somebody yesterday on one of the videos, the comment section. And we discussed, and I very adamantly said that if that was me, I would be drooling on myself because I would be demanding, you know,
because of fear.
the morphine pump. I would be, you know, is she not under the influence of any pain medication here?
Well, that's what I even thought too. How do you have time after a shooting, a day later, to express yourself and contact the news, and
Right.
then and have the whole shebang? Like, really? If you're not
Yeah.
looking for fame, then someone's contacted you. You like it just didn't line up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's take a look at this video for the sake
Okay.
of people who are actually watching right now, so they can get a good view of what we're talking about. Maybe, who knows, Laurie? Maybe we're freaking out. Maybe, you know, this is normal for someone that's been traumatized and had a gun pointed at them.
Just so you know, I did put a link over here on Underground Resistance, so people will be probably filtering in.
Nice.
Yeah.
They're very welcome.
Oh,
We'll be in the chat room in and out
yeah,
if
I've
they
got
want
the
to talk
chat
to
room
us.
pulled up. I've got the chat room pulled up. Kristen, she said hello. She's listening at work. Hello, Kristen.
Hello, Kristen.
Hello.
All right, so let's listen to Miss Patience Carter recall her experience.
Okay. I don't think they're hearing it. We're not hearing it, EJ. EJ, there's no audio.
There's no audio?
No.
What about now? Really? I really do hate whenever this happens. But you're able to hear me fine though, right, Laurie?
I'm able to hear you, but no, yeah, we're not getting the audio from the video there.
Okay, give me 1 second.
No problem, hon. There we go.
Felt like his message got out there.
What
Yeah,
about?
there we. Yep, we heard it then.
We hear you, but not the video. That happens quite frequently.
Yeah.
What about?
At the end, though, I did hear it. So whatever you did at the end.
I took out my headphones.
Oh yeah, you can't have your headphones in when you're playing the videos.
It's been a while since I've been on Google Hangouts.
Yeah, I know. I made that mistake too. Yeah, you can't have your earphones plugged in when you're playing the videos because it'll play through the earphones and not through the speakers into the Hangout.
Of course, of course. Well, should we play it again or?
Yeah, why don't we play it again?
Okay. Sorry about that, guys. If anything, quick recap.
Oh.
Whenever you're looking at the video, notice how she's able to recall the information, how she says for hours and hours and hours she was in the stall, and she was with the actual shooter, where he starts calling 911 and doing all these other things. So like I said, just pay attention to some of these social cues that Patience Carter displays when she's actually recalling this event.
Not hearing it again.
So?
Floor. I was right underneath.
There you go.
Was it playing or is it playing now?
It's not playing now, but you did have it there for a second.
Oh, dude.
Really don't know what's going on. Okay, definite audio problems today, guys. Not hearing her again, huh?
I'm saying that, you know,
There you go.
I think we're just gonna have to kind of skip it then.
Okay.
If anything, I'll do a rebroadcast I'll tune it up on my end. But basically, what she's talking about now is how whenever Omar came into the stalls after them waiting for hours and hours and hours, he said the reason that he wanted to do this is because he wanted America to stop bombing his country. He had felt that Black people had already suffered enough. He wanted to basically send a message. He wanted people to know what his motive was, and he was going to stop killing people. So basically, what they had him out there doing was making the typical suicide pact, where you're pledging your allegiance to ISIS, you're screaming Allahu Akbar, and you're doing these types of what would be considered Islamic radical Islamist things. And doesn't that play perfect for the arms trade treaty, gun control, the current presidential election, as well as Bilderberg? You see.
Yeah. Absolutely. And if you have dug into Mateen's background, his father is a diplomat in Afghanistan.
Yes.
So,
yes.
There's definite ties. He worked for a company through the Department of Homeland Security.
G4S.
G4S, yes. And if you guys don't know what G4S is, take a good look at it, because G4S also, I believe, has ties to quite a few of the events that are going on right now. Also,
he also took part in a stealth program with DHS and ATF, where he was smuggling Islamic illegals to quote unquote undisclosed locations since 2011. And this is a guy who's just able to, he went through multiple background checks, acquired multiple firearms. I mean, the list goes on. He's connected, or at least he's protected
Right, exactly. And apparently he was on some sort of terror watch list. He was interviewed by the FBI 3 times in the last 3 years, and somehow miraculously purchases a gun in the last 2 weeks.
Right.
I mean, you know, you've got to question these things. I mean, even if you do believe that what happened there was true to what the mainstream media is putting out, you still got to, you know, you've still got to question these things in the back of your mind. I just want to, before we go any further, EJ, I just want to make sure that everybody knows that when I do mention the term false flag, I'm not saying nobody died. I'm not saying nobody was shot. I'm not saying this was a fake or whatever event. What I'm saying is the term false flag means that the event that happened is being portrayed as being perpetrated by entities or a person other than what is really happening.
Exactly.
Okay,
I'm glad you said that.
Because I'm getting flack all the time when I use the term false flag. People don't understand. False flag does not mean fake or anything like that. And I'm not, you know, I'm not being heartless and saying that nobody was injured or killed there. I don't know at this point. I'm still waiting for the funerals of the people at the Bataclan. Okay. So, you know, like I said, time will tell. In the next couple of weeks, things will start to unfold and we'll be able to make a 100% solid determination. As of right now, I'm about 80% sure this is a false flag, that nobody was really hurt there.
That's what I feel like. People do need to distinguish the differences in the types of false flags and psyops and different things that go on. And that's why whenever we talked about it earlier, you actually having confirmation from your son and another source that was actually there that frequents it, we're able to now know that this was an actual planned event this night in particular, where the regulars were not there. People that frequented the joint were not there. This is something that was, like I said, sanctioned. So people may have actually gotten killed. There may have actually been people that were unaware of the operation that they were in, and they were targeted. While people like Patience Carter,
collateral damage.
Exactly. As collateral damage, they were there. They have to make it look real, right? But then you have plants inside the actual operation that come out and manipulate the story and validate it afterwards.
Right. Exactly.
And that's why we have to really, because people are so quick to say, "Oh, it's a false flag. It's a false flag." Like, "Oh, of course, here they come again." Well, clearly, you know, obviously it's orchestrated to some degree, but that's why we need to look at the peripheral events that happen outside of it, as well as the orchestrated event itself, instead of getting caught up in like, "Oh, well, we know it's just another orchestrated terrorist attack." And I feel like that's what.
Yeah, a lot of people stop right there. They think, you know, that's it. I don't need to go any further. It's false. That's it. Well, I think we need to dig further, and we need to find out what the reason is behind it. What could possibly, what are they trying to deter us from? What are they trying to take what are they trying to take our attention away from? I mean, there's so many things going on right now. Yeah, they're using the month of Ramadan. We know that last week ISIS did put out a threat saying that they were going to attack the United States during Ramadan. We do have that proof because, you know, ISIS Twitters everything. Sorry.
Like, how do they have it?
I know. I have a hard enough time getting internet in the city here, yet they're in caves somewhere in you know, in a galaxy far, far away, and they have no problem twittering, you know.
No, I definitely understand that. I was talking about that the other day because you know how you're talking about the censorship issues that you were facing whenever you started covering the Orlando shooting, right?
Oh yeah.
I woke up this morning and started talking to the fiance, and I counted 4 separate times that I had been messaged on different occasions of where people were trying to talk to me and comment on posts that I had put up regarding it, but they had been blocked multiple times. multiple times. Multiple people have been blocked trying to comment and contact me, where they just threw up their hands and they just sent me a direct message like, Freedom, here's a screenshot of the actual comment that I'm trying to send you, and here's them saying, please review your content.
Yeah. Since Sunday, I know I'm not the only one. Yesterday I was trying to get on live all day yesterday. You guys probably, I'm sure a bunch of people were like, she's got to be nuts. She keeps putting up these events and they're not taking place. Well, they're not taking place because when I would initiate my Google Hangout, it would put me in as a guest, say that I didn't have control over it and I had no live button. Finally, last night, it fixed itself, or I don't know what happened, but it finally let me go on live where I could simulcast with STFN last night. Today I got up and started talking with Ron this morning on Skype. My messages were not going, his were coming through to me, but mine weren't going through to him.
Yeah, see, no.
And yeah, well, and another thing is last night on Facebook, I was setting up an interview. I was supposed to go on last night with Howard Nima. And like I said, because of the live button, I couldn't do it. He ended up calling me on the phone. He's like, I've been trying to send you messages for the last 30 minutes. He goes, it keeps freezing up every time. And it's only you, Laurie, nobody else. He goes, so I just called you. So, there's some things that are happening, and it's just since Sunday, and I'm not the only one. It's happening. A matter of fact, they took the broadcast from last night that we did with Ron and Robbie and I and Michael J. Facebook scrubbed it. They took it totally off of STFN page. Luckily, I have my copy that I downloaded this morning onto my computer, and I was going to upload it to Exposing Satanic World Government on Facebook. Unfortunately, I can get to the main page on Exposing, but as soon as I go to video page and try to push to add video, it completely freezes, and I have to restart my browser.
Yeah, see, that's way too much. That's way too much.
Yeah, I mean, it's way too much for coincidence. I mean, I could see one or two things, but and then when you and I started the talking today, what happened? I all of a sudden just fell out of the Hangout, and I had to restart my browser. So, I mean,
that's another reason why I don't really use them.
Yeah, I'm not the type of person to be like, I'm not paranoid because, frankly, I don't really care. But, I don't think that I'm any different than anybody else. I don't know anything. Excuse me, I don't know anything different than anybody else out there that has the internet and can do their research. So I'm not worried about their, but they are censoring us. I do believe that.
Well, it definitely happened. It definitely happened to me. The first time I noticed this happen is whenever I first got into this, back whenever Jade Helm 15 happened. Whenever I was just putting up the pictures of the tanks, of the equipment being transferred, the helicopters and whatnot, and other people were sending in videos and clips and things like that. That's whenever I at first started noticing, like, okay, people can, not only were they garnishing my followers, they were deleting comments, deleting posts, and I was like, all right, well, the only thing I can do is just keep posting. I can keep trying to fight it. And then with the Orlando shooting, and it's only things that they're trying to orchestrate that I've noticed that the censorship comes out super hard. And I think, if anything, this is their way of trying to track and target certain people who cover these types of things. That's probably why the censorship on Facebook and YouTube is so fierce. That's why I've tried to, for myself, learn how to broadcast on my own servers, figure out my own kind of ways around these tips and tricks, because I know they're only going to get more clever in their attacks, and we have to figure out our own ways to maneuver it. That's really like the only thing that we can do.
I'm very thankful that I've hooked up with Ron, because he's been helping me learn the tricks of the computer and of broadcasting. He's going to be talking with me in the next few days on how to get things to where I don't need to use YouTube and things like that. So we have to get around it, because the time, I honestly, in my opinion, I don't think we're going to have the internet too much longer anyways, but as long as we have it, I'm going to utilize it to the best of my ability.
There you go. I agree. I definitely agree. On that note, I feel like we should try to take a break,
Absolutely.
little 2 to 3 minute break, and then we'll come back and start talking about, if anything, or just pick back up on the censorship issue if you'd like. Yeah.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. So I don't
Okay.
really have a outro music played or picked out yet. It's been a while since I've been on Google Hangouts,
Right.
but
Yeah, just so everybody knows, this is something that we're gonna do. We're gonna start doing our shows in segments, taking a short break, coming back, and kind of maybe go on to a different topic. So something new we're gonna try. I think it's gonna be good for everybody. Better for the hosts, I think. That way we can, we're not talking about the same topic for the whole show. We're actually giving you guys a lot more information. So Laurie can sing. You're funny, B. I'm looking in the chat room, please. Laurie can sing.
if you want, you can definitely play our outro music. You can be our outro singer, Laurie.
Yeah, that's okay. We want people to watch. We want people to watch. We don't want them to go. We're not going to go over to that channel because Laurie sings. I
Well,
can
that's
sing.
why.
Here's the thing, B. I can sing. I can, but I have to be very drunk at karaoke, and there's only one song I sing. One or two. Actually, there's two songs I sing, and but yeah, I have to. Alcohol is definitely involved.
This is a family show, Laurie. This is
I know,
educational
right?
material.
And it's way too early to start drinking. I don't care. It might be 5 o'clock somewhere, but not here. Okay, let's take that break.
So yeah, give us about 5 or so minutes, if that, guys, and then we'll be right back. You have been tuning in to Factions of Freedom, and this is America's Pulse with Laurie Alexander, and we'll be right back. I want to thank you guys for tuning back in to Factions of Freedom Live with Laurie Alexander, where we are going over the Orlando shooting, some of the peripheral events, and other mysteries regarding this whole false flag. Thank you guys for tuning back in. Whoops, sorry about that. Still getting used to a few things on this end. For people that are tuning in now, the reason that you are not hearing sound is because, well, I'm a noob and I'm still learning things. I don't normally broadcast on this platform. So, yeah, we are still working out a few kinks nonetheless. I wanted to play those videos in between just to give you guys, the viewers, something to look at. Steven Seagal mentioning how he thinks some of these attacks are engineered and how Obama is endorsing Hillary Clinton. The current state of affairs, guys. The current state of affairs.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where, you know, if you take your eyes off of the news feed for any length of time, you know, it's like, wow, I got to catch up because there's just so much coming into us right now. You know, even the, you know, people are opening their eyes, and you know, like you said, Steven Seagal is even speaking out.
Right.
You know, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of, but then you gotta ask yourselves, you know, what's the swing on that? What's the bottom or what's the backstory on that? Because we know that anybody associated with Hollywood doesn't do anything without being told.
True. And that's a perfect example of that is, you know, how, who was it? Not Robert Downey Jr. Who is the person that is always missing Emmys? Leonardo DiCaprio. Leonardo DiCaprio finally got an Emmy this year around, but what did he do at the start of 2000 or in the middle of 2015? He endorsed climate change, cleaning up society, and Agenda 2030, basically. So this year, whenever he got the Emmy, it was pretty much because he bent the knee. He agreed with a global agenda.
Right. You toe the line. You do what you're told. You know, basically are a good boy or a good girl, and you get rewarded.
Mm-hmm. So how is this for Steven Seagal? Who else has come out in advocacy of the Second Amendment? There have been a few other people.
There has been a few. I can't recall offhand right at the top of my head, but yeah, there has been. I've noticed quite a few. Kevin Bacon, I think, was one of them.
That's a crazy man, Kevin Bacon. Russell Crowe, I think.
Yeah, I think there's been a couple. There's been a couple few that have come out, you know, speaking out. But then, you know, then I've got to ask myself, is that part of their agenda too, to have a couple people speak out on it? I don't know.
Well, I've even thought about this to a degree too, like why gun sales are obviously skyrocketing, you know, and I even read an article about how gun sales amongst females and homosexuals how it's actually rising because of this event. That could be propaganda, that could be predictive programming, that could actually be truth. But whenever I take a step back from it, I'm like, why are they priming every different race, creed, and color to have guns? Like, and that's something I'm mulling over in the back of my head as well. Because if anything, you know what? Let me see if I can find this article for you, because this popped up. I wanted to talk about it in tandem with what's going on, because this guy pretty much went and killed his neighbors because they owed him money. And I thought that was very, well, if this is happening with if we're having the whole Orlando shooting and then this guy's coming in and killing his neighbors, how come we're not sparking an outrage about that right here?
And, look at that right wing rubber.
Yep.
Oh, see, you know, oh boy.
I know we're going to catch flack on it, you know, and I know people are going to say, oh, I thought you were a truther show, or, oh, you know, I thought you were a patriot show, or, oh, you know, I thought, or is this a government run page or something like that? It's like, no, you guys have to look at how they're stoking the fires. You really have to look at how the civil unrest is unfolding and how people are really not caring anymore about anything. Like, if this dude is literally going out to go kill his neighbors because and then brag about it on Facebook,
That's the
Well,
air. That's the climate we have.
Well, the fact that they even had to put out that he's a doomsday prepper, really, did they need to put that out there?
That's slander. It's
Well,
to make
it's
us
just
look bad.
yeah, to make us look like we're crazy, you know.
Yeah.
You put the here we go, right wing. Here, it's not just he's a doomsday prepper, but he's a right wing doomsday prepper.
It's a very precise
Right.
category of people that they're the patriots, preppers, and Christians and conservatives. That this is, if anything, who they are trying to target with this.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the disinformation that's being put out. I mean, this is part of it too. And there's so much disinformation being put out in the Patriot community. It's sickening. It's just absolutely it just makes me very angry when I read some of the articles. They've basically demonized us. They've put us into a category of domestic terrorists. If you're a patriot, if you're a prepper, if you're a truther, you are considered a homegrown domestic terrorist. And when the time comes, we will be silenced.
And that's one thing I think people need to, because I talked about this in an episode that will actually be released this Friday, or you guys can actually go over here to the website and listen to it. The video will be released Friday, but the episode is episode 220, Gearing Up for Civil Unrest. And I talk about this, how they radicalize people, domestic terrorism, and gun control, arms trade treaty, all these different things, to where they're basically, with fancy terminology, trying to section us off the same way in that article we kind of just went over it, right-wing doomsday prepper. You see how they label things and then force these different types of characteristics onto them. The same way people are saying that Islam is not, all people of Islam are not violent. Well, what happens is whenever we create these terminologies and these phrases and we attach different attributes to them, different characteristics, like I said, we're forcing that to come into reality. I don't know if that makes sense. What I'm trying to say is when they're making it seem like people that genuinely care for things that are going on,
right?
Patriots, people that want to have some level of stability. My God, whenever they try to demonize us because we're getting engaged, we're actually calling out the issues. What they're trying to do is force it onto us as if we are the problem because we care. We're looking at the facts, and apparently we're causing too much of a ruckus, you see, rather than just going along with the system. And that's the problem.
Exactly. It seems like anybody who uses the internet for anything other than looking or going along with the agenda is considered to be, an enemy of the state. Free thinking is something of the past. They don't want free thinkers. They want herd mentality. They want hive mentality. And if you're a free thinker, you are definitely an enemy of the state.
I talked about this in a previous episode too, where the UN, with their whole Agenda 2030 and one of their sustainable development goals, I think it's the fourth one actually, is where they're controlling education and how they're trying to turn the next generation into social justice warriors, SJWs, these generation snowflake cupcake kids that don't want to get engaged, that are scared when they turn on the TV, that are completely misinformed and are basically basket cases waiting to erupt. And they want to give these people, quote unquote, social power. So whenever we have an entire world government setting up an educational system such as Common Core and manipulating the coming generation, while us people of the old world order, or at least of freedom, of, I don't know, independence, thinking for yourself, I don't know, free think. There you go. Thank you, Laurie. Whenever us free thinkers come into play, they don't like that because we're not going along with the mold that they've made.
Right. You should mention the upcoming generations. If you really want to stop and if you really think about it, it's scary. It's scary what we are It's scary what is happening to our children right now. We have a generation of children who don't care to get involved in anything. They think that they have this this sense of entitlement. You know, the only thing they engage in are video games and their phones. They don't engage in conversation with other people. I mean, you can see kids sitting in the same room, not even talking vocally, but they are talking to each other on their phones. I mean, really seriously. I mean, these kids don't know about the Constitution. They don't know about how this government is run. They don't understand. They don't understand how
Things work.
Free
They
trade
understand how
works.
the internet works.
Right. They don't even understand how free trade works. I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's scary. It's definitely scary thinking about in the next 20 years, these people are going to be running for office. Think about that.
Well, it's like think about it, Laurie. I'm only 24, and I constantly have to catch myself from giving in to the world to be to like and that's one of the reasons why we haven't had so many shows together, is because of me having to sever my connection with this world and get back to the work, because I have, oh good God, I don't even want to talk about what I'm doing outside of this. But whenever I look at the other generation, because I'm out there on the streets, I'm out there in the mountains, I'm out there I'm out there with people. I see, okay, I talk to people. I love talking to people. I've got hundreds of acquaintances, not friends, associates, if anything. Right. I talk to people, and you can see the gloss over people's eyes. You can see like there's no hope, dude.
It's the fluoride stare. I mean, I totally know. I'm out in the public. People think that, you know, I don't. I've had people in the last couple of weeks, you know, just say, "Oh, all she is a keyboard warrior. She's always behind her computer." Well, you know what? I'm not. I am always either on my phone or my computer, but I'm out in the world, and I see so much that's happening throughout this country. I travel between Chicago and Houston, Chicago and Dallas, Chicago and Galveston, Chicago and Louisiana, you know, Kentucky. We go to the East Coast, you know, Jersey. I mean, and we're stopping every couple of hours, and I'm interacting with people. And I got to tell you, it's scary out there. It is freaking scary.
Check this out. Good. I'm glad you said this. I want to go over 2 quick articles with you here, and then I want to, because it summarizes what we're talking about. This generation snowflake, like I said, and I'm just going to go from here. A top British thinker has claimed young women and men are in a group of hysteria, which has made them unable to cope with being offended. Claire Fox, head of a think tank called Institute of Ideas, has penned a coruscating critique of Generation Snowflake, the name given to a group of growing youngsters who believe, quote, it is their right to be protected from anything that they might find unpalatable. She said British and American universities are dominated by cabals of young people who are dead set on banning anything they find remotely offensive. It makes me sad that these teens and 20-somethings have become so fearful that they believe a dissenting opinion can pose such a serious threat. This
wow.
type of, it's. I'll go into this next one because the reason I had to, before I go on to this next one, the reason why I had to pull that up is because if they're literally saying, if we're already able to identify some of these psychological problems of the coming generation, the generation in which I am part of, because I don't want to be a part of it. You know, I even noticed this probably back in like 2014, 2013. I was like, I don't want to be known for the generation that legalized marijuana and same-sex marriage. All that's saying is that my generation just got high out of its mind and started having sex with itself. Okay, I do not want to be known for that.
That's a very good way of putting it. I guess I haven't really thought about that. But you are out of the norm. Let me tell you that. You think not like a 24-year-old. You and I have conversations that are far, far, far above your age group. You are aware of things. You are not the norm. You are definitely outside of the box. And, you are in a position, EJ, you are in a position to open up the eyes of people your age. Whereas, somebody my age, if I were to go start talking to 24, 20 something 20 somethings, I would be looked at like I have 5 heads, but you are in a position, no, seriously, but you are in a position where you can open up the eyes of 20 somethings and actually not get looked at like you're crazy.
And that's, if anything, and we've talked about this on the side, but that's why I take this so serious, is because I was born into this. I was born into this, and to turn it off, man, I have 2 Xbox Ones, a PS4, a PS3, like TVs out the booty, a speaker system that could make this entire block shake. Like, I have the world, you see. That's not what I'm here to do. The work that I'm here to do is why people see a show being built every week. I'm here to do this janky disclosure of what's going on, of trying to refine what's going on, to try to help as many people as possible. I'm not here to say, hey, I got some tequila bros. I mean, I'm not here for that. I'm here on the air to help people the same way that people on the air have helped me. And it's what I know. I'm not here to bash people and discriminate and degenerate us. I can see that's already happening in so many different ways. I tell people all the time, I can teach you how not to give an F word. I can teach you, really. Step 1 is don't talk to me. Okay. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm here to help us get to where we need to go, because where we are going, where they're taking us, is not good. I can see this even in my 24 years on this earth. My God, we need help. We need salvation. And if, and we talked about this whenever we had the Get to Know Us episode. I see and feel things in such a strong way that I'm like, if I don't help people, if I don't do what I know is itching at the back of my head,
right,
then I'm not going to be living. I'm not going to be real. I'm not going to be EJ. I'm not going to be freedom. I don't know how else to explain it, but I take it very serious.
And we both do. And I think all of the show hosts do. I mean, we all take things very seriously. We take what we do sometimes too serious, I think. I've had a lot of people say, just you take it too serious. Don't take it so serious. Well, you know what? I'm sorry, but I have to, because if I don't take it serious, nobody else is going to. And if I come across as being, jokester, or, I can't, I'm just, all I'm doing is joking around, and I'm just like, that's not me. I spend sometimes upwards of 14, 16 hours a day researching and posting and writing. And, these live shows that I do now are just something that I've been doing in the last, well, I started in Christmas Day of 2014 was when I joined Truth Broadcast Network with Howard Nima and Harry Link. And so I was doing live shows then until Harry got sick, and just kind of fell off the wayside. And then, in December I started doing it again, and now these last few months, a couple months with you on YouTube. So I mean, this is new. This is all new to me. I am an article writer. I am a Christian eschatologist. I study end times. I put what's happening in the world, the headlines, to what's biblical. And I gotta tell you, I've been doing this for 40 years. I've been doing this, well, I've been a Christian eschatologist for 25, but I mean, I've been researching and I've been knowing there's something wrong for the last 40 years, since I've been 8 years old. And oh my God, wait a minute, Well, hold on a minute. Holy
I would
crap.
ask your age, but I know that's rude, and I am not going to do that.
42 years. Um, so, you know, and I've slowly watched what I've slowly watched this world deteriorate to the point where I can't even recognize it anymore. And to have, you know, young people like you and young people that are in our chat room and young people that I'm acquaintances with on Facebook and YouTube and, you know, and out in the public, it's you guys are very few and far between. You really are, but you have a choice. Okay. If you're awake,
Mm-hmm.
if you're awake and you're aware of what's going on, you have two choices. You can keep it to yourself and just, you know, watch the world crash and burn, or you can get vocal and you can have a voice and you can go out there and you can tell people what's going on. You know, how many people 24 years old even know what Bilderberg is?
I've tried to ask around, not many.
Yeah.
I've definitely tried.
Not many people my age know what Bilderberg is, you know, but we are trying to open up the eyes of people. We're trying to make people aware of what's taking place. And, you know, with things that happen like Orlando, I've noticed something over the past couple of years. I've noticed since Sandy Hook, when we all called that, you know, a false flag. People thought that, you know, I got hate mail, I got, you know, threats, you know, called every name in the book. Now I have, when things like this happen, I'm inundated with messages going, what do you think? Tell us what's going on. Tell us what you feel. Tell us what you think is happening. You know, I'm not getting the hate messages like I was before. I'm getting more messages of, please, will you tell us what's going on? What do you think? Yeah, because people are seeing this. I'm getting people sending me things all the time going, this is what I found, look. And it makes me very happy because I know people are digging. They're on the internet, they're looking, their eyes are open, they're watching for things. This didn't happen 3-4 years ago, but it's happening now. And this is just, you know, it's very uplifting to me. It makes what I do worth it because I know that I'm making a difference. I do know that I am. And you are too. And everybody that's doing what we're doing is making a difference. It may be a small difference. It may be a little, but it's working.
I tell people this all the time. You know, this whole page project, this whole thing, the page project podcast, the 3 Ps, they all started from me just me having these conversations with people, and then just seeing, like you said, the fluoride stare go over. You know, me thinking like, good God, am I crazy? Like, am I really this crazy for thinking about these things, for seeing the correlating evidence, to seeing it play out in prophecy, in the metaphysical world, in the spiritual world, in so many different ways. Like, am I crazy for thinking about this? And then, you know what? I finally had that moment where I was talking with the fiance, and I was like, you know, I can't do this on Facebook because of personal reasons. So let me start an Instagram. Lo and behold, here we are a year later. A year later, from wanting to have conversations with people about things that care, from wanting to not be considered crazy, from basically just wanting to know, and being, you know, if people don't want to know, that's fine. I don't care. But for my own sanity, I have to do this. It became therapeutic to a point where I felt like I felt the world turn on its axis every day in such a different way, that I was like, I need to do this. Like, it's hard to describe, but there's a point where you get engaged. Like right now, I'll put it to you this way. I'm in the state where we have a show called Breaking Bad, and they're coming back for a Breaking Bad Part 2. I'm in the state where you will get killed if you go camping near the foothills. I'm in the state that that loves to have riots, that loves to just, whenever there's a protest or anything that's political, that loves to get violent. You know, this is from poverty. It's from ignorance. It's just from who knows. But whenever I have a culture like this that's constantly pushed on me and basically propagated. And then you see it happening worldwide. What do you think the alternative is? You don't want to downgrade yourself. You don't want to degrade yourself. You need to understand why these things are happening. Some people, and I have friends like this, and it eats me up at night, dude. It really does. Like I feel like a bad person and a bad friend for not being able to help them in the way that I know I need to, but they've succumbed to the drugs. They've succumbed to the meth, to the cocaine, to the heroin, to the drugs that are present here. The drugs that made the Breaking Bad famous.
Well, to the drugs that the government is putting out there. I'm sorry, but I got to tell you that the government, you could say that it's society that is the drug deal. The government is providing those drugs. They are turning their heads and allowing it into the country. I knew this back in the 90s. Everybody knows my history. I was involved in that whole scene back in the 90s for a few years, from 95 to 99. And then I got back involved in it in 2007 for a couple of years. But back in the 90s, we used to joke around, but kind of not joke around. When you would go and buy your drugs, you would ask the person jokingly, I guess, I don't know, I didn't think it was a joke, but they would say, is this white boy dope or is this cop dope? So yeah, we even knew back then that the cops were putting certain types out on the street. You didn't want what they were putting out because it got you really, really messed up. You didn't want it. So, we did differentiate between the two, now I don't know, like I said, I'm out of that lifestyle, but I do know that, they're still bringing it in. They're still bringing in the all kinds. Look at what was it? Operation. Oh God, I can't even think of it now. It was the guns down in Arizona.
Fast and Furious?
Fast and Furious, yes. Operation Fast and Furious. That was all around bringing dope into the United States.
Mm-hmm.
This war on drugs, there is no war on drugs. The war on drugs is a joke.
It's a war on us.
Exactly. There is no war on drugs. It's the cat and mouse game. When somebody gets caught, they kind of make an example of them, and that's it. They have to make sure that at least a few people get caught, but the rest of them, they go through. They know they're there. They know they're coming across the border.
Well, they have to run the drug somehow. They have to control where it goes. That's what I'm trying to pull up this article for the actual sake of the discussion, because I talked about this in another case, but how cops in my own city of Albuquerque, how they had recently got the approval to manufacture crack cocaine. and I thought that was beyond me. Like the fact that an article could be put out where they're saying, yeah, no, you guys can manufacture cocaine and you can put it out there on the streets and you can sling your dope, and don't worry, we won't arrest you. We'll just arrest whoever it goes to. And another one of the things that I was looking at too, that I had taken into consideration, is the epigenetic factors of manufactured cocaine. Like, what are they putting in this? Like, yeah, right here, May 21st, 2016, cops get approval to manufacture crack cocaine.
Wow, look at that. Yeah. It's just amazing. They are bombarding us from all sides. I just did a show a week or so ago where I talked about the moral decay of society. Actually, Lynx and I did that. That was one of the last shows I did before we went on the road. But, and we see since the 60s, we lived the Ozzie and Harriet, the Leave It to Beaver life back in the 50s. Mom, 2-family households. Mom stayed at home. Dad went to work. Kids went to school. There was none of the violence. There was none of the drug use. There was none of the moral filth that there is today. I remember watching I Love Lucy. Oh my God, they were married and still they slept in separate beds on TV. I mean, we didn't see the things that we're seeing today. And gradually, since the 50s, by design, we've seen the decay of the American family. And this is one of this is one of the phases of the New World Order, is the attack on the family structure, and we're definitely seeing it.
On the nuclear family.
On the nuclear family, absolutely.
It's like, and what I find, what me and my fiance find our time, it is doing just this and taking a step back. Because I love when she asks me random questions like, what does looking at all this stuff do for you? And, and that's a very valid question. I'm like, well, there's a reason why we're talking about kids. There's a reason why you're not addicted to meth or heroin. There's a reason why we do these detoxes. There's a reason why we have the beautiful house that we have. There's a reason why we have the blessings that we have. That's how I would look at it. Or you could choose to look at it as, well, we know that this person that is addicted to this, or this person that has this problem, or this person that's contemplated suicide, or this person that has no one at all to even ask these types of questions to. You see, so me looking at all this makes me appreciate having you, appreciate having my life, appreciate everything that I do have and that I am blessed with, and it wants me to give more to other people so that they can have it as well. So I guess that's what it does for me. It's not meant to be like a sarcastic thing or anything like that. It's a heartfelt question, and that's really how I feel, is by looking at all of this information, it forces you to change. And we've talked about this before on numbers of episodes. You can't get to the bottom. You cannot get to the bottom of all this without understanding that this is the act of the devil. All this destabilization, this chaos, these are the acts of Satan. These are people doing his work. But it's crazy.
We are in a spiritual battle, and if you cannot see that or understand that, you will not understand you won't understand how to protect ourselves.
Exactly.
You have to get with the program. I mean, there's things happening, even if you don't. Okay, here's the thing. I've started to explain it to people. Let's not use the word spiritual. Let's put it that there's something happening on a different plane, or behind closed doors.
Yes.
Let's put it that way. Let's not even use the word spiritual battle. Let's call it a covert battle. There's a covert battle happening. There's things happening behind the scenes that we are not aware of, but we have to know that those things are still taking place. We might not know exactly what they are, but just know that they're happening.
This is where I'm going to segue into talking about the precariat and Bilderberg 16, because while we're talking about how they're systematically destroying us, they're aware of how they're systematically destroying us, and how shows like this are popping up, how people are unifying, city farms are coming together, or people are starting to grow more. There's as on the flip side, while these authoritarians, these Luciferian authoritarians, while they're trying to say we can't collect rainwater, we can't live off of the grid, and we can't have certain rights, certain God-given rights that we should have. And we have to look at what's happening with this dichotomy. I know it's a kind of rough transition, but they're very aware of the effects that they're having on us. And this is why Agenda 2030 is being propagated so much. This is why so many other distractionary things are happening, is because they are trying to figure out how to deal with us, the precarious proletariats, known as the precariats. And for people that don't know, the precariat was a term pretty much popularized by British economist Guy Standing, describing a growing class of people who felt insecure in their jobs, their communities, and life in general. That the perpetual part-timers, the minimum wagers, the temporary foreign workers, the gray market domestic paid in cash, the techno-impoverished who piecemeal work has no office and no end, the seniors who struggle with dwindling benefits, the indigenous people who are kept outside, the single mothers without support, the cash laborers who have no savings, and the generation for whom a pension and retirement is neither available nor desired.
the marginalized group, the anxious and the angry. This is who they're talking about while we're discussing whether or not Omar Mateen had homosexual tendencies and wanted to go kill a group full or a club full of people. While we're discussing this, people at Bilderberg's, companies from around the world, are discussing how to deal with us in this way. And this is where they've even talked about things such as basic free income. And I've heard this talked about as well with the automation of work, the worker versus robot debate. Whenever they start putting all these people out of work, what's going to happen? You can't have 7 billion people that are out of jobs. They're trying to talk about instituting basic free income where you get a monthly injection of money provided by the state, but all that's going to do is make us that much more dependent. If we think that if we think that being in this class, the middle class of people who are working all the time, if we think that that's bad, could you imagine like food stamps being allocated a certain amount of money? That is the ultimate form of authoritarian communism, if you ask me. And they're talking about this while we're discussing Omar Mateen. And that's what we need to focus on is the peripheral events and things that are happening, like the security check from Facebook that we let in with, and Obama's no-fly, no-buy law, and all the other things that are happening because of this.
Exactly. I mean, there are definitely things that are taking place behind the scenes that they don't want us to talk about, and Bilderberg is one of them. Bilderberg, I've told people in the last week or so, it doesn't really, we don't ever know what they're talking about. We only speculate what they're talking about. But after they come out of those quote unquote secret meetings, we can just look at all of the agendas that start getting put into place. It started out with Agenda 21. Now that's Agenda 2030, which actually started out as Codex Alimentarius back in the late 1800s or 1900s. So, I mean, we see the evolution of these agendas, and we see, the UN with their vaccines. We see, their vaccine programs. We see the FDA with our foods, now the GMOs, and all of this is taking place. Water, a big thing that I believe the Bilderbergs are talking about this year is going to be the water issue. Water issue. Land, I believe that they're talking about the uranium one. I believe that's another big issue that they're talking about this year. They're talking about China coming into the U.S. I believe that's another thing they're going to be talking about. And I think the really, really big issue they're talking about this year at Bilderberg is the financial reset. And there is going to be a financial reset coming here very soon. But they don't want us talking about this because they don't want to make people aware. Because if people are aware, then people prepare. And a prepared person to them is dangerous.
As an individual, as a sovereign citizen, as a problem, it's a threat. It's something that they can't control.
Right. Free thinkers to them. Right. Free thinkers to them are completely damaging to them. Yeah.
Well, that's why I'm glad that you talked about. And this is why we should have done the episode on society's spiritual shift. Is because I'm glad you pointed that out, and we can see it, we can smell it, we can taste it as soon as we bite into it. There's tension. We are going through some kind of immense shift where turmoil, chaos is the normal. Chaos is the norm, and the only thing that's going to come out of this chaos is the solution provided by these people.
Right.
We're about to enter a brand new chapter in this war or this revolution, if you ask me. And that's because of what they've done and our reaction to it.
Exactly. I don't like to use the term conscious shift because to me that's new agey. But there's definitely there's a shift happening now. And I can't really put my finger on it, but I've been feeling it for the last going on 2 years now, and it's progressively getting more pronounced. But for the lack of a better word, I'm going to say, a shift in the consciousness. But like I said, I don't like to use that because it's just new worldly to me, new agey to me. But there's definitely something coming up, and I don't know if it's a shift in the consciousness of people waking up or what it is, but you can definitely feel it.
I definitely feel like technology has played a huge part in this, and it's even talked about in the Bible towards the end times, how knowledge is going to be poured upon the surface of the earth. And we're definitely seeing that. We're seeing a technotronic global consciousness, or global, whatever you want to call it, being erected. And I tried to make this connection with in another situation, but it's like the ethos, the ether that we come from, we have now not superimposed, but we've translated that concept of creating an ether that we've come from into the digital. The same way a show like this and all kinds of other things can pop out from the ether that is the internet, is the same way that we have popped out from the ether that is the universe, that is God. Whenever we're looking at all these things that are going on, we have to look at the information that's being flooded through this other ethos that we're tapped into. This, whenever we're constantly seeing news headlines of turmoil, of chaos, of destabilization, this is going to create a mindset in us as well to either disassociate or to get engaged, because it's an action. It's something that changes us from our present state of being. So we have to either get out of the way or get with it. And what's going to happen on the back end, I feel like that's what some people don't want to look at, versus people like me and you and Ron Johnson and everybody else who are looking at what will happen afterwards. And we actually want to try to have a stake in it instead of just going along with the system.
Right. We are actually seeing before our eyes on a daily basis a Hegelian dialect being carried out right before our eyes. Mm-hmm. And by Hegelian dialect, I mean they are causing the problem. They look for our reaction, and then they provide us with their solutions. That's what I mean by the Hegelian dialect.
I agree.
Yeah, you and I used this term last night, like I said, I've been doing this for a long time, and we are truly the frogs in the pot. We are victims of incrementalism, and it's not getting any better. It's progressively getting worse. And until we open up our eyes and we realize that they provide the chaos, they provide the problems, only to look at how we react to that problem, and how we react, how we respond to it, how long it takes us. It's like how they're looking at how long did it take these people to pick up on everything with this Orlando thing? How long did it take them to realize that, this was happening and this was wrong and this, so they provide the problem, which is the chaos. They study the reaction that the population are having, and then they come in and they provide us with their solution. And then, if you want to talk about Orlando as an example, the problem is here we have a shooter, a Muslim shooter using the AK-47 as his weapon. The reaction is on a specific group of people, which is the LGBT community. The reaction is the LGBT community now feels unsafe. The uproar, in my opinion, they found the sweet spot. The children of Sandy Hook weren't doing it quick enough. So what they did is they went for another part of the population that is vulnerable.
Marginalized part of the population.
Right. And now the solution is going to be, we need more gun control. I don't know if you guys saw the video on the woman whose son was supposedly inside the building at the club, but she was doing an interview, and she was supposedly, and I kept saying, cry me one tear, lady. I just want one tear and I'll believe this. I'm serious. I mean, there was no tears. I would be snotting. There would be snot dripping into my mouth. I would be so upset. And the last thing I would be doing would be going on camera talking to anybody if my son was killed.
Mm-hmm.
And, here she is talking, and I played this video the other day. I was watching it for the first time with all the viewers, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, she's like, and now we need gun control. And I stopped the video, and I went, there you go, guys. There you have it, So, I mean, this is it. The problem was the shooting, the reaction of, the people, and the solution is now going to be gun control. So, I mean, that is typical Hegelian dialect, and this is what the elite use to control the population.
I feel like it's good that you're saying this, because one of the things I feel like we don't look at, or one of the things that I pay attention to, is what's going on in Paris. Look what happened post-Paris attacks. Right, how they put troops on the ground, they pretty much went neighborhood to neighborhood, tanks, this, that, and the third. I'm not saying we went to that extreme, but with our own attack here, with the Orlando shooting, New York City deployed 500 TSA agents to the trains, to the airport, to neighborhoods, just pretty much 500 agents to go out and go surveil the area. I feel like we're going to see more of that. We're going to see more surveillance and more security. And like you said, they are gauging us. They are trying to see, like, how fast do we pick up on the story? How fast do we break it down? Who's speaking the facts? Who's got it down pat? Who's actually on point? Who's speaking the disinformation? That they're gauging us. And I mean, you can look at it as its own operation. You could look at it as the technocracy. You could look at it as some kind of huge operation against us. I'm not sure how you would, but the fact of the matter is that these things that are going on, these attacks that do happen, because they're happening more frequently and in more intensity, and it's because we keep giving these people airtime. We keep stoking the fire with more praises of ISIS, more praises of this mindset. And even though some of these attacks might be orchestrated as false flags, well, the disassociative people who are borderline cases, who think, hey, maybe I can be a rock star like Omar Martin, or Saeed Farouk. I can go out here and do these things and be praised by ISIS. These people that are borderline, we're not looking at how we're aiding the psychosis, how we're aiding this civil unrest. Whenever we have shows like this that digest the issues and then reproduce the facts, we need to start coming out with solutions, because the diversity of their attacks, the diversity of how they're going to come at us, it's only going to get more and more expanded. The same way we're able to make these correlations with Sandy Hook, how they tried to play us for fools back then, versus what's going on with this shooting. We have to understand what's basically happening to society to stoke this perfect storm for civil unrest, this perfect storm for civil war.
Right. And that's what they're doing right now. I believe that's what they're trying to find, is they're trying to set us up for the perfect storm, the perfect event that will break us.
Mm-hmm.
That will completely, totally break us. It'll be something that will be so bad and so chaotic that we cannot process it. We cannot handle what is going on, and we will beg them. Here's the thing. If you all remember 9/11, pre 9/11, this country had never been the victim of a terrorist attack. We went about our day like nothing. We didn't have to worry about, like other countries have to worry about bombs going off when you go to the grocery store, or, car bombs going off in the street, or, snipers taking us out as we're walking our children to school. Mm-hmm. We've never had to worry about that pre 9/11. What 9/11 did to us, the psyche of American people, was break us. If you guys remember, after the event happened, we were glued to the TV to listen to Bush talk. We needed his words to soothe us, to comfort us, and we look to him for that. So when the Patriot Act was presented, we were all like, do whatever you've got to do to make sure this doesn't happen again, to keep us safe. We will give you whatever you need to make sure this doesn't happen again. Help us to feel safe again. Put us back in our little bubble, because we're broken right now. As a nation, we were broken. So whatever event they have planned for us is going to make 9/11 look like a day at the park.
That's crazy to think about.
It is. It's very crazy to think about, but it's true. And they're planning it. They're setting it up. And, you know, it's scary.
One of the things I've been mulling it over, like I said, looking at all the other peripheral events for this perfect power or this perfect thunderstorm, and hearing you present the 9/11 situation in that way, it makes me think of it like this. Christopher Murphy talked about Obama getting the ISIS War Powers Act, which would basically let him declare international martial law, right? Mm-hmm. If everybody in the world or everybody in America is buying guns off of the shelves, they're basically trying to set it up to where I want to say a prolonged 9/11, a prolonged false flag, to where all they can do, or all they get to do, or what they can do and will do, is continually keep doing this the same way we're having more of our rights taken because of these emotional and hysterical things that we're reacting to because of quote unquote ISIS, Al Qaeda. Whenever this new 9/11 happens, this new thing that shakes America, I think it's going to be something continual. I'm not, clearly I'm not sure. I'll have to do. We're still doing research into it, but whenever you talk about 9/11 and the way that it affected us with the Patriot Act, the Freedom Act, the NDAA, and all these other things, you're right, because whenever this new 9/11 happens, because of the riots or the protests with the election, or even the LGBT stuff, or who knows what this week. You see, and then with these terrorist attacks as well, people that aren't clued in and people that feel defenseless and weak and feel like they need the overarching arm of the government to help them, they will be the ones that call for our end. They will be the ones that call for the end of us being able to defend ourselves, to having this kind of freedom, that freedom that we have grown so well to love, to know. The one that I've even stylized my whole name after, it'll be gone because of the fear that we've been stoked and built into.
Exactly. I told you guys in the chat room, I want you guys to Google Hegelian dialect, and also want you to Google Jeremiah Project, because that talks about the New World Order strategy behind crisis experiences. So do a lot of research on the problem, reaction, solution, which is the Hegelian dialect, and also the Jeremiah Project.
I want to go over, because we definitely did not take any breaks, Laurie. We just went right through it.
I know. We're doing. Yes, that's right. We're doing good. So
I want to go over one quick article, and then I guess we'll wrap it up and go from there. So I put up an article May 26th, Special Operations Troops assaulted downtown Tampa, right? This is basically some kind of operation went down in Tampa. And then a few days later, or at least a week or two later, what do we have going down in Florida as well? So I thought that was very strange. I wanted to go over it real quick just to get it on the record so that people think, oh, well, where did this happen? If anything, this could be this could be their cover story. The same way with the Paris attacks, how there was supposed to be a huge drill that day, and then the attacks happen.
Isn't that amazing how that works?
Right? So just that one of the things.
Same thing happened with Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook was the drill.
Did you see that Fenway Park had
talked about
Yeah.
conducting a drill there as well.
Yes, that's why we had Richie from Boston was out there live recording. You know, he was recording the Department of Homeland Security vehicles there, and you know the big signs and everything. And he was actually told by security that he could not be filming there; that he had to leave.
Yep. See, so more confirmation that more of these attacks are happening, whether it's orchestrated by the FBI, because I actually put up an article about that, how the FBI is manufacturing terrorism cases now more than ever.
Absolutely.
Whether it's them, whether it's actually radicalized individuals, and just all kinds of different things. You know, just evidence that we have been infiltrated and that we're under attack. That there's a rightful reason for people to be on edge.
Yeah, we are under attack. We are under attack in more ways than one. You know, spiritually, mentally. You know, we're being under attack through our internal systems with our water system, with the GMOs, with the chemtrails. We're being bombarded on every level, mentally, spiritually, physically, every which way that they can get to us and break us down as a person, break us down as a society. They are doing it so that they can cause the problem and provide us with their solution.
Which will be less rights, more surveillance, more security, less peace.
Yes, we are talking their solution is 1984.
And we're seeing evidence of it every day. And the only way to combat it, really, and this is what I've wanted to start doing, is because somebody messaged me the other day of what happens, or what do you think is going to happen whenever people start refusing the chip or implants or things like this. And my response was, well, an entire separate sect of society will branch off to where obviously this is being hopeful and optimistic. Hopefully an entire separate sect of humanity will branch off and develop its own culture based around a lifestyle without these technotronic implants or these technotronic augmentations. And that's the only thing I can think of with looking at what's going on globally as well. The only way
I think you're absolutely right. But on that note, is you have to understand that those people that do break off will be
hive-minded.
The scourge of society. They will be the outcasts. They will be the ones living without the electricity. They will be the ones. Think about post-apocalyptic America. They'll be the ones living in the outskirts of the towns. They will have no running water. They'll have no electricity. They'll be trying to fend off the land, and they will be the ones hunted down by the government because you are not conforming. So they'll have to take those little communities underground. Will it happen? Absolutely, it'll happen. It's happening now. It's happening now with our militia, with our groups that are branching off and trying to maintain some sort of freedom that the government, that we have a right to. So we're seeing it now on a small level, but yeah, I think we'll see it on a larger level when that time comes.
And
absolutely,
you're right. That's exactly what's happening right now. And we talked about this whenever we were talking about Pete Santilli on your show, and how the Bundy Ranch, the Malheur Wildlife Refuge, and all the other things that are happening that come against the Patriot movement. What they do is they create a necessary response. If the same way, like if any new virus is introduced into the body, it reacts, it creates antibodies and then fights it, right? That's what's happening right now. We are the antibodies trying to help cure this poison that's going on in the world. We can see that things are degrading at an exponential rate. Otherwise, I would not be working this hard.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought up Pete, because I want to go on the record, because there's been some question as to my beliefs, and I want to go on the record to say that I do not believe Pete is in jail let me rephrase that. I do not believe Pete is lawfully in jail. Okay, he is been put in jail illegally. He has had his First Amendment rights stripped of him. He is I believe he's a hostage of the state. Okay, to silence him. He's truly in jail. He's not in some some hotel room sucking up Mai Tais. Okay, the man is in jail. If you don't believe he's in jail, then go in and get on the list to go visit him, because you can do that. Send him a letter. Okay, send him a letter and have him call you from jail. He's there. Another thing I want to go on the record. I want to go on the record of saying Lavoy Finicum died. He's dead. Okay, that man was murdered in front of us. I've watched the video numerous times, and there's people out there that are saying that he's not. Okay,
you can see it on my channel too. It's real. They have from two different angles. They have it from the helicopter's angle and from the actual angle of the person in the car.
Right. I just wanted to go on the record because there seems to be some sort of ruckus lately saying that I'm saying something to the difference. No. Pete Santilli is in jail. He's in jail for having his First Amendment rights stripped. He's in jail for being armed with a camera and a microphone. And unfortunately, Lavoy Finicum was murdered. Okay, he's dead. Okay, and if you guys want to go and continue to say that he's not, that's on you. You have that right, because that is your First Amendment right. We all have our right to our own opinions. It's just when your opinion's wrong in my book, I'm going to call you out on it, and you guys are wrong.
She will. She'll do it.
She will.
She'll do it. Well, I don't know, Laurie. Do you have anything else that you're working on? I know you have another show to get another show and all kinds of other stuff.
I have 2 more shows today, guys. I have 2 more shows today. As soon as I'm done here, I'm going to go over. We're going to have Whistleblower. Robbie D and I are going to be on the air on my channel on our network. We're going to have whistleblower Kurt Haskell with us, and also reporter Jeff Lehman. We have some explosions. We're explosive information we're going to put out for you guys on Orlando that have just come across our desk. So breaking news on Orlando with Kurt Haskell and reporter Jeff Lehman. Also tonight at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I am going to have as my guest Howard Nima from howardnima.com and what is his other channel? howardnima.com and Truth Talk News. He's with Truth Talk News, and he's also with Truth Broadcast Network. He's, like I said, he's my partner over there. So Howard Nima is going to be on tonight at 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. But as soon as I'm done with you, I'm going to head over and we're going to have Kurt Haskell and Jeff Lehman on.
Am I on the show tonight, or is that just you? I think that's just you, right?
You are more than welcome to come on.
Because I was like, I definitely dropped the ball again. I was like, oh God, are we doing a show tonight too?
I asked you if you wanted to come on with me and Howard. I would more than love to have you on. I want to introduce you to as many people as I can in this whole thing. So, had you been around the other day, you would have been on with us when we were on with Dabu and Richie from Boston and all those guys too. So,
I had the festival, and then I had to go house hunting, and just.
I know.
I forget that I forget.
There'll be more.
Well, it's summer too. It's summer. I'm going to school. I'm doing all kinds of other crap too. Like, good God.
Exactly. And you know what? That's just, part. Like I said, I'm very blessed with being able to be a stay-at-home housewife and, do this. So I'm sure there might become a day that, my free ride here is going to end, and he's going to be like, get a job, woman, get a job. And I'm going to go,
Laurie.
Oh, I don't want to get a job. I've got a job.
I'll pay you, Laurie. Don't worry.
I got a job. We made a $4.98 from YouTube. I got a job.
In like 4 months. That's excellent progress if you ask me.
I know.
That's like a cent a month. That's a penny a month. Imagine what you could live off with that.
Yeah, we make the big bucks here. Let me tell you.
It's in my offshore account. Don't worry. I don't
Right.
do anything domestic.
It's all in our offshore account. I want to thank you for having me on, sweetheart. It's been a pleasure. Been a pleasure talking to you, and we'll definitely do this more now that things are
Yeah.
quieted down.
Yeah, now that I got some things taken care of,
Exactly.
but, we're
Exactly.
definitely on the path of getting everything where it needs to be, lining up. But I think I want to thank you for coming back on.
I think
It's always
for
good
having.
talking to you, Laurie. You know that.
Oh, it's great talking to you too. We have fun.
It's true.
I want to thank everybody in the chat room. You guys are great. Without you guys, we would just be talking to each other.
Eventually, I will get better at being able to.
You know what? This is a learning experience for all of us. Like I said, I've been learning the last week, and so with working with Ron, he's teaching me a lot on how to broadcast and stuff. So this is a learning experience, and we'll get there eventually. And the good thing about it is the people that are our friends and they follow us in the chat rooms and they participate, they understand. They're part of the learning experience too. So it's fun.
Well, I want to say thank you, Laurie, for coming on. And I'm sure everyone appreciates hearing you talk about these things, especially whenever they can hear the compassion from somebody else instead of just hearing me rant.
You don't rant. Your message is for your. I have to pinch myself when I have to remind myself that you're only 24. It's amazing. I've got to tell you, sweetheart. It's just, it is such an eye opener to have somebody in your age group that is so well spoken and so educated in these times that we're in.
Yeah, I still have to go to school tomorrow. No, it's. I just appreciate. Like I said, I just appreciate having someone else to talk to about it.
Feeling, trust me on that. All right.
That definitely helps with so much, just being able to like say, hey, Laurie, what do you think about this? Like, oh, well, let me tell you. It is pretty crazy. I appreciate having that, and actually having someone that cares instead of just like, yeah, it's crazy. You want to go get some ice cream? I genuinely, I like having conversation with you.
Ditto,
So
my
it
friend.
definitely helps. But I'm sure the listeners and the lures, the listeners and the viewers, I'm sure you guys don't want to hear how sappy me and Laurie get. So
I know.
I'm gonna round this episode up for you guys and say thank you for tuning in. And if you have any questions, feel free to email us. I will put both of our emails in the bottom so you guys can contact us. As always, check out some of Laurie's stuff on exposing satanic world government, 3 minutes to midnight. She's just, if you can't tell, Laurie is in the airwaves. She is just like a dive bomb attack and stuff. So go check out some of her stuff and contact her because we're always working on something.
Something new. Exactly.
But thank you, Laurie, for coming on. Thank you guys for listening. Stay vigilant, expose lies, and share truth. This is Noisera, Freedom Faction, out. Did it stop? Or I think it stopped.
I think it stopped.